twist in the case of rapper YNW Melly. The Florida rapper is suing the Broward County Sheriff and the Sheriff's Office, claiming he's been illegally detained under conditions that violate his constitutional rights.
Developing now, there's a new push to get rapper YNW Melly out of jail. He's currently awaiting retrial for the two childhood friends, but a new lawsuit alleges he's being held in inhumane conditions.
They're trying to break him down and get a result that they cannot get in the court system.
So while YNW Melly's case has been tangled up in court with his retrial pushed all the way to 2025, there's been some shocking footage circulating that allegedly shows him being bloodied behind bars.
They're trying to break him down and get a result that they cannot get in the court system.
Just this week, YNW Melly made serious accusations against the Broward Sheriff's Office, filing a lawsuit claiming he's been treated cruelly behind bars and is asking a Florida judge to let him out immediately. You might remember that his first trial, a high-profile double-murder case, ended in a mistrial last summer, and now his retrial is pushed way back to September 10th, 2025. But as we're finding out through his attorney, Michael Pizzi Jr., the legal battle is heating up even outside the courtroom. In the lawsuit, Pizzi argues that Melly is being illegally detained in conditions that allegedly violate multiple constitutional amendments at the Broward County Jail.
New twist in the case of rapper YNW Melly. The Florida rapper is suing the Broward County Sheriff and the Sheriff's Office, claiming he's been illegally detained under conditions that violate his constitutional rights.
According to Pizzi, the authorities there are supposedly ignoring Melly's right to basic dignity and legal counsel, calling the treatment callous. Pizzi claims the jail is actively trying to break him down by isolating him from his family, saying Melly isn't even allowed to talk or visit with his mom or brother. However, on the contrary, the sheriff countered the lawsuit, claiming that Melly is receiving this treatment because he's considered a threat to the other inmates.
Does not generally comment on pending litigation. However, the jail does not utilize solitary confinement. Mr. Demmons has been placed on administrative segregation, an alternate living assignment for someone who poses a serious threat.
And speaking of family, at the press conference, Melly's mother and brother were there in person to talk about just how difficult it's been. His mom, visibly shaken, shared with reporters, "It's heartbreaking. Some days I don't know if he's alive in there. I don't know if something's happened to him in there."
The last time I heard my son's voice on the phone was in 2022. Some days I don't know if he's alive in there. I don't know if something's happened to him in there.
She went on to say she's completely in the dark because she has no communication whatsoever with her son. It's clear that this situation is taking a toll on his family as much as it is on Melly, and it adds a whole new layer to the already intense saga unfolding around his case. For anyone who's been following the twists and turns of this case, let's rewind a bit and remember just how YNW Melly ended up here, facing some of the most serious accusations imaginable. Melly's been locked up for over 5 years now. His fate's still uncertain, with the entire world waiting to see if he's guilty of one of the most chilling crimes, a premeditated double-murder of his two best friends, guys he's known since they were kids.
The 24-year-old, whose real name is Jamel Demmons, stands accused of shooting and killing Christopher Thomas Jr. and Anthony Williams.
The original retrial date was supposed to be October 9th, 2023, but here we are with it delayed until late 2025 because the prosecution keeps filing appeal after appeal. And with Melly denied bond, he's stuck in jail, facing the terrifying possibility of the death penalty if convicted. Before his life turned into this courtroom drama, Melly was on the cusp of super stardom, ready to explode onto the mainstream scene. He just dropped a huge collab with Kanye West that had everyone buzzing and sent his fame to another level. His songs were racking up millions of views, and it was clear he was about to become the next big SoundCloud sensation. But then, the investigation started, and suddenly everyone was digging into his life, his music, and even his lyrics, which were dark and eerily detailed. Some say maybe a bit too much so. His interviews also seemed to hint at a lot more going on beneath the surface, and soon the rumors started swirling about his possible connection to the crime. And now, as he sits in jail awaiting his retrial, his experience has reportedly been brutal. Sources say he's facing inhumane treatment that some are calling borderline torture. all while he's technically still an innocent man under the law. It's hard not to wonder whether there's more to this story with all the evidence and speculation floating around. From inception, music has always been Melly's escape, a way to channel his emotions and struggles into something creative. He recorded his very first song back in 8th grade, and right from the start it was clear he had a rare talent. But trouble wasn't far behind. By the start of 10th grade, Melly had already found himself in a serious incident. He fired a gun in a school zone, aiming at 3 upperclassmen, which led to charges of aggravated assault and firing a firearm in public. This incident landed him in juvenile detention for a year at only 16 years old.
This is not Melly's first run-in with the law either. In 2015, the young rapper was charged for a shooting near a high school in Indian River County.
When he got out in October 2016, he didn't waste a second. He dropped a song called 772 Love, which quickly gained traction locally and started to gain him some recognition online. But it was another song he wrote during his time locked up that would completely change his life. Im Emder on My Mind. Melly knew this track was different. It felt powerful, raw, and real. After refining it with a faster beat, he released it in March 2017 and it blew up instantly. His social media presence exploded with fans pouring in on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. But with success came new challenges, and the same song that made him famous also brought trouble. Being on parole at the time, the judge saw the explicit lyrics in Emder on My Mind as a violation, landing Melly back in jail once more. It seems like he's always been caught in a cycle of fame and trouble, and now he's in the middle of the biggest battle of his life. Now, the idea of using song lyrics to incriminate someone is already controversial. Many people argue that music is just a form of art and shouldn't be taken literally, which is a fair point. But in Melly's case, things get complicated fast. Outside of his music, he said some things that are just dark enough to raise eyebrows and fuel the controversy surrounding him. Interestingly, while he was doing time in jail during his second stint, his fan base started to explode. People were really beginning to take notice, and even though the exact details of how long he was behind bars are a bit murky, by then he was just 17. Around October 2017, his team decided to launch a whole #Free YNW Melly campaign, and that's when things truly began to pick up steam. His family and friends went all in, even creating and filming a full-on music video for his song 772 Love. That video went viral, racking up over 50 million views on YouTube, and the buzz around Melly just kept building. When he was finally released in March 2018, he was ready to hit the ground running. Without missing a beat, he dropped the music video for Melly the Menace and started performing at venues around Florida. His fame skyrocketed even further when he released Blue Balenciagas, which pulled in over 100 million views. And then came Butter Pecan, another big hit. Suddenly, Melly was living the life he'd dreamed of, traveling around the country, enjoying the freedom he'd fought to get back. Meanwhile, Emder on My Mind was growing into a massive hit, drawing rap fans from all over the world. It wasn't just everyday listeners getting hooked on his music either. Big names in the rap game like Young Thug, Lil Durk, T Grizzly, and Lil Uzi Vert were already fans. Before most people even knew who he was, Melly had already caught the attention of some of the biggest artists in hip-hop. But just as his career was on fire, trouble came knocking again. Right after his 18th birthday, Melly got arrested for marijuana possession, along with charges for possession of a weapon or ammunition as a convicted felon and drug paraphernalia. His longtime friend and collaborator Cortland Henry, aka YNW Bortland, got caught up in the arrest too. Luckily, they both posted bail and were out the next day, but this arrest added yet another legal issue to Melly's already growing pile. Meanwhile, Emder on My Mind kept climbing the charts, becoming a phenomenon in its own right, and it was only a matter of time before he decided to make a music video for it. When the video dropped, it was intense, no sugarcoating it. It painted a haunting scene, the aftermath of a shooting, with Melly's character holding a friend who's slowly dying in his arms. The lyrics were incredibly vivid, almost like a confession. Lines like, "I didn't even mean to shoot him, he just caught me by surprise. I reloaded my pistol, cocked it back and shot him twice," created a raw and tragic image that felt unsettlingly real.
In my pistol, cocked it back and shot him twice, his body dropped down to the floor.
Those words have been analyzed endlessly, especially with the real-life charges hanging over him, and many see the song as a dark foreshadowing of what was to come in his life. In his first interview with No Jumper, Melly came off as both mysterious and intense, dropping little insights that only added to his enigma. One of the most striking details? He has tattoos of his two closest friends' names on his face. You'd assume tattoos like that would be in memory of friends who've passed, but in this case, they were alive, at least for the time being.
You know, I got Sat Chase right here, that's my brother and my twin.
Okay.
I got Juvie.
Juvie?
Yeah, brother.
Just a lot of your friends who passed?
Yeah. Nah, them right there.
My bad. I wouldn't get none of my friends tattooed on my face until they died.
Yeah, man.
I'm not a good friend like you are, apparently.
As Melly worked on his album We All Shine, things were lining up in big ways. C-Hi the Prince, one of Kanye's writers, introduced Kanye to Melly's music, and Kanye was so impressed that he brought Melly out to LA to work together. Their first session was laid back. Melly, Kanye, and his manager 100K Track just hung out, listening to music for 2 hours before Kanye finally asked Melly to play some of his own tracks. And once he heard mixed personalities, Kanye was hooked. The song resonated with him, especially given both he and Melly have struggled with bipolar disorder. They even shot a video for the song with Cole Bennett, and it was a huge moment for Melly's career. Getting the chance to work with Kanye was like a golden ticket, marking him as one of the hottest up-and-comers in the rap world. Everything seemed to be coming together for Melly, and he was poised for a major breakthrough. But just as his career was taking off, things took a very dark turn. On October 26, 2018, a tragic and suspicious event occurred that would forever alter the course of his life. YNW Bortland showed up at Memorial Miramar Hospital with 2 dead bodies in his car, those of Anthony Williams, also known as YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., known as YNW Juvie. Both men were Melly's close friends since childhood, and their bodies were found in the vehicle, slumped over in the right side seats, while the car had been riddled with bullets. When questioned, Bortland claimed it was a drive-by shooting, detailing a route they took from the recording studio in Fort Lauderdale, west on 595, then south on 75, before exiting on Miramar Parkway. According to him, a car pulled up on their right and began firing. He said he ducked to avoid getting hit, and once he saw his friends bleeding, drove them to the hospital conveniently located nearby. However, the story quickly began to fall apart. Detectives canvassed the area and found no signs of gunfire, no reports, no evidence. Bortland's gunshot residue test also came back negative. As the investigation progressed, discrepancies in Bortland's story became apparent. He eventually admitted that Melly had left the studio in the same gray Jeep but allegedly switched to another vehicle later. Yet security footage contradicted this, showing Melly leaving in the Jeep, sitting in the back left seat while the victims were in the right seats. Then came the game-changing piece of evidence, a single .40 caliber shell casing found on the Jeep's floorboard, precisely where Melly had been seated. With each new revelation, the story grew darker, leaving lingering questions about what really happened that night. Melly's rise to fame had been swift and meteoric, but now he was caught in a spiral of suspicion and intrigue that cast a heavy shadow over his once bright future.